and I looked very much like the Swamijis in our organization do. Had a long beard and long hair, but I didn't wear white robes. I still was wearing blue jeans with holes in them at that time. And I was into all sorts of recreational supplements that were illegal at the time, probably still. I don't need to go into it, do I? You get the picture? Okay. So I had a friend who was practicing meditation and learning to be a meditation teacher, and I had his phone number, and I called him up on the phone, and he came over to my house. He was wearing a white shirt and beige pants and short hair and clean shaven. I was a wreck. I couldn't sit still for a minute. I was a chain smoker. I kept scratching and my hair, I couldn't be still. He was so peaceful. And he talked about meditation. And I said, this is it. This is what I want. He has something I don't have. 2 weeks later, I learned to meditate. I had very deep, profound experiences from the meditation immediately. And I continued. I went on retreat programs and advanced courses. And I meditated for about a dozen years. And I was noticing, even though I was deep in meditation, something was dysfunctional. I was not able to function on a high level emotionally. I would get into a fight with my boss, my dad and I didn't get along. I would have a girlfriend, it would last for a month or 2 months, and we'd break up, I'd get into an argument. I had no understanding about emotions. So I decided to go to the hub of the universe where emotional technology is very, very common, Santa Monica, California. So I moved to California, and one day I was in a health food store. Do you have health food stores here? I don't think so. But you know what, you have an idea of the health food store. That's where healthy people go to stay healthy. So I went to a health food store, and I was looking for the perfect wheat-free, sugar-free, taste-free cookie. And I bumped into a friend of mine, and she told me about Guruji, Ravi Shankar, and that this was an amazing course. And as soon as I heard about it, I said, this is it. This is why I came to California. For 3 months, I marked the days on my count, waiting for him to come. And he came, and he gave a talk. There was all of 10, 11 people who came to hear him speak. And I was just blown away by him. He was just so peaceful and so centered and so present. And what was happening to me as I listened to him speak, I was moving into a state of meditation. I'd never had that. In waking consciousness, to be experiencing meditation, I couldn't understand what was happening. And at the end of the talk, I went up to him, I told him some problems I had. He said, take the course, everything will be fine. Okay, I signed up, I took the course, I learned Sudarshan Kriya, blew me away. It was like somebody had plugged me into an electrical socket, energy flowing throughout my body, and I felt hot and cold at the same time. I was laughing and crying, blown away. And at the end of the Kriya, which was the most amazing thing, such a peace was there, such stillness. And after that, I wound up taking the Art of Living course the next week, because he was there for a month in California. And then the next week, I took a retreat course, a silence program with him. And it was just more than what he said, and more than the techniques that he had, there was this immense love that I would feel in his presence. I didn't realize that everybody was feeling the same thing I was. I thought it was just the two of us. And that just propelled me to continue. I wound up becoming a teacher of Art of Living 6 months later. Then I was invited to come here to India, to Bangalore. I traveled all around Bangalore, teaching in most of the major corporations, BEL and BHEL and all the B, and there's an L there. And then I wound up traveling around the world and teaching Art of Living courses. Eventually I became the president of the organization. And what has kept me going on this path for all these years, this year is my 25th year with Art of Living. It's the only stable thing that I've ever done in my life. So, and why have I continued? What has caused the stability in my life is really the love. I would say any enlightened master who is a real enlightened master, they're all the same. It's just a vibration of unconditional love. And that love is something that I think all of us are yearning for and searching for in our life. And we can experience it in the presence of a teacher, but we can also experience it within inside. If it's always external, dependent on a teacher, I don't think that's very healthy. A true teacher helps you experience that inside. Yeah? So I just been in India. I've come to India 2 months ago, and I've been traveling all over. The book was released a couple of years ago in the United States. It's been released here the last couple of months. So I've been going around giving talks like this, and I think that's about it. So I'll open the floor up to some questions for a while. And then when we get bored of that, we'll do a little meditation. So you have any questions? Yes. Do you have an extra microphone that we could pass around? Push it up and it should work. No?
Sir, in the talk, you're told we have to control the mind. So actually, controlling mind is not a good option, but guiding a mind is a good option. When you control something, it might ripple back, but when you guide it, it goes very smoothly. That's what my observation.
Do you want me to answer, or we can pass this around? See, I had a feeling that if I came to a university, I would get a lot of smart people, and they'd ask me hard questions. And I was right. No, you're correct. You cannot really control the mind. It's really an expression that we're using. The law of the mind is whatever you resist will persist. So if you try to control the mind, no, it won't happen. But what you can do, which is quite amazing, is you can build a toll gate in your mind that's a checkpoint for thoughts to come in and thoughts not to come in. This is an amazing thing, because right now, thoughts can just filtrate your mind at any time. You have no say over what thoughts are coming in and how you react to the thoughts at all. But if there is greater consciousness, if your consciousness is expanded, and the awareness, consciousness is awareness. If awareness is really profound, you can actually have a say over the thoughts in your own mind. So the thoughts are there, but you can say, okay, fine. If you can do that, that's quite amazing. So anger can come up, emotions can come up, negativity can come up. And you can say, no, I don't want to entertain those thoughts right now. That's an amazing thing. And how do you gain greater awareness, greater consciousness? Meditation. That is the key. That's the whole point of meditation. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. The microphone's coming.
Just speak like this. Do you think it's possible to achieve spirituality without relating to a higher reality?
Help him with that microphone?
I think I'm already audible.
Okay.
So what I was trying to understand is, in your perception, do you think that it's possible to achieve spirituality without relating to a greater reality, a higher reality?
I don't understand. Is it possible to have spirituality without relating to a higher reality?
That's right.
I don't think you can You have spirituality without relating to it's just dogma then. It has to be experience. And what is the experience? The experiences of consciousness, the self. Everything is made up of consciousness. There is nothing in creation that is not made up of that substance that we call consciousness. But do we know the consciousness? Is it just something we intellectualize and have concepts about? That doesn't help. Reading about consciousness. If reading about consciousness was the way, then every library would be filled with bodhisattvas. It's not it. You have to experience that higher reality. And that's our own nature. We are consciousness. Does that answer your question?
If, say, by higher reality we mean, let's say in general parlance, say God or the creator of the universe or things like that, do you think that we need necessarily to invoke something like a higher power and higher reality?
No. I think that's a concept. First of all, when you're meditating, Shiva is not going to come and sit down and talk to you. Guruji is not going to come and tell you how to pass your exam or give you some subliminal messages. That's not what it is. It's experiencing deep, deep, deep silence. That's what meditation is. It's not about having a flashy experience, colors and rainbows and lights and explosions going off in your head and gods floating around and talking to you. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about giving deep, profound rest to the mind. That's what we're talking about. That is the consciousness. Yes?
So for all such spiritual experience, can we just do away with the religious dogma completely?
Can we do away with the religion? Yeah, no problem. Why do you need all that stuff?
Even
Trimmings?
otherwise, can we just do away with it?
You need some instruction. You just need instruction how to go inward and how to handle the mind. And for that, you need a teacher. I think that's the easiest way. All the other trappings, I don't think that's required. Does that answer your question? Yes.
Sir, I'm just curious to know whether you got to know answers for your questions related to death and meaning of life and all that.
I would say death is still a concept because I'm still alive. And I think I'll only know for sure once my heart is not beating anymore. But I have had moments in deep meditation where the heart rate is minuscule and the breath is barely there at all and the mind is completely still. And I would say that's as close as you're going to get in waking consciousness to that experience. And I don't find it scary at all. I find it's just an experience of unconditional love. That same love that I feel in the presence of Guruji, I can feel it. It's everywhere. And that's what it is. I don't think it's something you need to be scared about. Yeah.
You get to know your own mind through meditation. Sir, how do you get to know your own mind through meditation?
How do you get to know your own mind through meditation? We'll sit and we'll do some meditation and you'll see. Yeah.
So what is the ultimate purpose of human existence? Why do humans exist?
What is the ultimate purpose of human existence? It could be eating gulab jamuns. You know, when you're looking at purpose in life, there are two purposes. Every human on this planet has a dual purpose. There's an inner purpose and there's an outer purpose. The inner purpose is to experience our own nature and know who we are. Who am I? What is this all about? So to experience the consciousness within, fully experience that, that is the inner purpose. It takes you inward. Your own nature. We can even call it our own divine nature. It has no attributes. What is that fully? Not intellectually, but experientially. Understand that, feel that, know that. That's the inner purpose. The outer purpose is to be to express that consciousness. Yes, I am the consciousness. Why am I here? I am here, I am unique, I am different than every other person. How do I express that consciousness and contribute to the society? And many of us think that contribution is like, oh, I have to be the prime minister or something. It can be the simplest thing. Be a good husband, be a good mother, be a good son, be loving and caring. Whatever creative thoughts that are coming through your mind, the ability to express them fully. What is unique about you that is different than every other person? We're similar and we're unique. If you ever take a snowflake and look at it, all the snowflakes look the same. If you put the snowflake under a microscope, they're very different. Same for us. We are the same consciousness, which we need to realize, the inward stroke, outward stroke, that dynamic expression of consciousness. If there's a lot of chatter in the mind, a lot of obstacles, a lot of emotions going on, very difficult to express that fully. You remove that, now you can be amazing. The creativity blossoms, your real power comes through, and you can be an expression. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I think purpose is. Yes?
It is well known that professional, personal skills.
Turn it on.
Personal skills. So personal skills are more important than professional skills. So if you take professional skills, for example, programming is a professional skill, and it is the same anywhere. Even if you teach programming in India, Zimbabwe, or any United States, it's the same. But for personal skills, there is no anything which is universal, like programming. C language is universal anywhere. But for personal skills, there is nothing which is universal. Although personal skills are more important than professional, there is nothing which is universal. So why is it like this?
I disagree. I think friendliness, I think compassion, I think all the basic human values are the same. I don't think it matters in what country you live. If somebody is kind to you, if somebody is considerate, if somebody listens to you and cares about you, that's the same. I don't see much difference between personal skills in India and personal skills in the United States. There are a lot of cultural differences, but those are cultural differences. Human values, personal skills, I find they're all the same. If I was up here and I was really rude, you wouldn't want to listen to me. It's more about our presence. You meet somebody immediately, you know you're going to get along with them, right? You meet somebody and they're very stiff and they're very angry and they're just like, whoa. Isn't it? Somebody who has that skill. Some of us are born with those skills, naturally. Some of us need to acquire those skills.
Yes, I agree with you, but you cannot prove it and put it as a constituent coursework of any university, right? With that.
Well, if you're tense, your personal skills are going to go down. If you're relaxed, your personal skills are going to go up. Simple. If I were to come up here and speak, and I was really nervous the whole time I'm speaking, wouldn't that affect the quality of my talk? If I'm relaxed and I'm talking to you, isn't it a different quality of talk? So obvious. You go on a job interview. You're so nervous. You're thinking of every answer you're going to give. Are you natural in those moments? You think you're making a really good impression? If you're really relaxed and you're just totally in the moment and you're laughing and you're enjoying, don't you think you have a better connection with the person who's interviewing you? Yes. And this is the same all over. So you cannot teach a class in personal skills like remember these 5 qualities and incorporate that into your life, but through meditation, through working with the breath, through yoga, we can improve our personal skills. Yes?
Can you tell us a little about how corporate culture values and spiritual values, do they go together? Are they actually antithetical? I asked this question because in your write-up it says you headed the APEX program, so I'm curious.
Good question. I think today, more and more, we need to have more compassionate management. And the more dominant management is, the less productive the workforce is. So the old paradigm was based on motivation. Motivation is temporary. There's a difference between motivation and inspiration. What is motivation? Motivation is based on a reward system. I get this and then I'll perform. And then your performance only stays for a certain while and now I need another promotion or I need another raise. It's all based on performance. Performance is based on you're trying to motivate a workforce. That doesn't seem to work because it's not sustainable. Inspiration is very different than motivation. Inspiration comes from within inside you. You have somebody who's a mentor, you have somebody who's very loving and caring, you believe in the cause or the product or the project, you're inspired. It doesn't matter how much you earn. You're not looking for rewards, inspiration. So if management shifts from trying to motivate to inspiring, and why will people be inspired? If it's human values-based corporate culture, then the workforce is more inspired. It's a more humane way of working with people. And I think that is something that's understood in most management schools these days, and it's the way we're moving ahead. What do you think?
I think it's complex because organizations are different. Many are hierarchical. It's easier said than done because I think in the rat race, one is the meaning of success in the corporate world and I think the meaning of success in the spiritual world don't necessarily coexist. I mean, it's a tough thing. I get what you're saying, but I think experientially, since I've also worked for a long time in the corporate world before being a student, I've always been curious as to how to build teams and how to have a different...
But that's the whole thing, building teams. How do you build a team? If you're just aggressive and bossy and pushing people around, is that a team? You're the team leader. Who do you want to work with? Somebody who has those skills. That's what it's all about. You have a really great mentor, a great team leader. You're going to work with that team leader. Somebody who you can't even stand to be around. And if you're really talented, you'll find another job. And then the corporation, they're the one who loses. They can't keep the talent. I think that's what it's all about. And it's also about breaking that system of hierarchy. A hierarchical system has been proven again and again that it doesn't work. I don't know, how many of you are marketing students, management students? Okay. You know anything about the US car market? Why did the US lose the lead in the car market? Why did General Motors fall apart? Because its structure and management was so much different than the Japanese structure and management. Japanese was about team. America was about hierarchy. And what has happened after all these years, after the whole automobile industry has dissolved in the United States, it's starting to come back. But what model are they following? The Japanese model. Very clear. It was about empowering each individual on the team. If you feel empowered, you'll do your very best. If you feel as though I only have to do this job, it doesn't work. It becomes monotonous and you lose your inspiration. Yes?
Going back to your story, you said that you practiced meditation and you had something dysfunctional and you're trying to get a handle on that. And you said at the time you're practicing meditation for almost 12 years, right? So in spite of that failure, you continued for 12 years. How did you keep yourself motivated, or should I say inspired, to continue through all the time when you're facing that failure?
I was having very deep experiences, and I was seeing a lot of changes in my life. I was able to concentrate more. I was able to become more creative. I worked as an artist and an advertising executive. Everything was moving in that direction. I had much more stamina. Yeah, definitely. But there was still something that was missing. Balance. You need some balance of heart and mind. So breath is an integral ingredient in the path. Does that help? Okay, 2 more questions and then we'll take a break and meditate, okay? Yes. You want to stand up so they see where to bring the microphone?
Just continuing with the question about you were talking about motivation and inspiration and the organization retaining talent, moving forward. If they're not inspired, they just move on to some other company. Now, it's a large world, and as many as there are good employees, there are good companies too. So, from both the perspective, to what extent we should really be spending time on, trying to get people inspired and motivated by allowing for such activities in the organization, or even as an individual. To what extent? Because ultimately it's the competition that counts, right? And so at times you have to make those hard decisions, or not so good, or what is called that when you're in competition, jealousy is bound to come. There's a little bit of maybe pushing down.
I'm not getting what your question is.
What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to ask is, like, where do we draw the line? Or in actually investing, like, cost-benefit analysis for these Apex programs, or as a company?
Where does who draw the line?
The company, when we are introducing or encouraging people towards all these things and trying to suggest that we need to be more humane in our approach and, really say, don't.
I don't think you can have a formula that I have the expertise to give you a formula of how to make those types of decisions. But one thing I can say is that if your mind is clear, you will be able to make the best possible decisions in that moment. If your mind is not clear, you're not going to be able to make the best decisions in that moment. Simple. In every situation, you're constantly having to make decisions. In management, it may mean that you're constantly changing your strategy. But if you're caught up in worrying about the past, you're anxious about the future, deadlines, what my superiors are telling me to do, that becomes so stressful in your mind, you're going to make mistakes. But if you're calm, if you're centered, you'll know what decision to make at the right time. That's truthful in any situation. Because the worrying gets you nowhere. And most of the time we're thinking about a situation so much, and then eventually, in the spur of the moment, you make that decision. Have you not experienced this? See, if we don't know much about our mind, then it all becomes theoretical. Let's see, this is a common experience. You prepare to say something. Let's say you were going to come up here and you had to speak. you would not be listening to me. You would be rehearsing what you're going to say in your head so many times and missing everything because you would be in your head thinking. You would come up here and more than likely everything you prepared would go right out of your head and then you would just speak. Have you found